Is there some unwritten rule that like nobody actually really cares about pedophilia or something like that? Like
that's what it fucking seems like.
Half of the great music from before 1999 was all about underage girls, and I just found out recently that Sweet Caroline, the Sweet Caroline, the song that is played at the 7th inning of every Boston Red Sox game, that's about Caroline Kennedy, who was 12 years old. Yeah. Written by a 30-year-old Neil Diamond.
Yeah. Listen, there's no
touching
reason
me,
to not excuse
touching you.
Neil Diamond, Benny Mardonia, Steven Tyler, Mick Jagger, Jerry Lee Lewis, Elvis Presley. Look, there's
Sam
just a few people that may have dabbled.
The Beatles.
The Beatles.
Everyone. David Bowie. Look, it's not. We don't have to get into splitting hairs here, if there even were hairs to split.
Jesus Christ!
That was good.
Just I think very weird.
It is. Every song is about, like, Great Balls of Fire is about his loins. And he married his 13-year-old cousin.
Oh my God.
Like Dennis Quaid even said when he was playing the character in the movie that he was a drug addict, but after having to get into that character, he was really, really a drug addict, and then he went to rehab. So even having to pretend to be Jerry Lee Lewis, he was like, this is too far. And I don't know, I don't think Jerry Lewis was, but he probably got a little heat off the name.
It's weird that selective takedown of people that do that. There's like Gary Glitter.
Yes.
You've heard the song 100 million times at baseball games and football games or whatever. But then he gets taken down because obviously, for sure, he was a pedophile. And he had CP all over his computers and all these things. But then all these other people.
Colored people?
Like, why? It's just weird that it's selective the way.
Roman Polanski got a Lifetime Achievement Award.
Well, look at the list of all the people that were like supportive of him in the in the 2000s. If you look at that list, it's like every major director you've seen, fucking like Selma Hayek, so many, Natalie Portman, like big actors and actresses that you would never expect.
So wasn't he at Jack Nicholson's house?
Yeah, it was at Jack Nicholson's hot tub.
Why was there a 13-year-old in Jack Nicholson's house?
Jack Nicholson wasn't at home at the time.
Was that right?
Yeah. He would Roman Polanski would use it as like a party house. It was when Jack Nicholson was dating Angelica Houston, I believe.
Oh, okay.
And they were out of town.
Yeah, he was not there. Yeah. And then, but there was also, I'm sorry, who was the 15-year-old that got into porn? Tracy Lords or?
I don't know.
Why are you looking at me, Dave?
Well, I think you know. No, there was a woman who was a huge
Tracy
porn
Lords.
star, Tracy Lords,
Yeah.
and she got in there at 15, and they made a ton of movies with her. I think a lot of people looked a little older than they were, and I don't think people were checking IDs. Now, I'm not excusing that. I think what Roman Polanski did was vile. The girl who's the victim says that it's fine and that she wanted to, but at the same time.
She was 13, and she was had a,
right.
on
He's an
Quaaludes.
adult.
Brooke Shields was naked in Playboy at like 11 years old.
Yeah,
correct. Yeah,
Who thought that was a good idea?
That's my thing with the whole hashtag Me Too. Is like hashtag Me Too went all the way up to children. All of a sudden, it like all these things about Weinstein and all these other people and everything.
Hugh Hefner was venerated as like a cultural icon. He put an 11-year-old naked in his magazine.
Well, dude,
and the tunnels. You know about the tunnels?
I don't know about the tunnels.
There's tunnels between under his
Williamsburg
mansion.
and Bush.
His mansion to other houses.
Is that
dude,
right?
He would make women blow dogs. Like his whole thing was honestly degrading.
Wait. Is that true?
I'm dead serious. Yes. I forget the porn star that came out about her to the Playboy model.
It's interesting that he died and then Epstein became a thing. I wonder if he was a honeypot.
I love that he sold his house and was like, but I get to die upstairs.
Yeah.
So you just have to live in the house.
Sandra Theodore is Hugh Hefner's ex that claims that bestiality was occurring.
Really?
And he would get it on video and stuff.
But
he would use Quaaludes a lot to get women to do stuff.
So he was drugging women. So he was he was R. Kelly basically, and he was venerated.
He was
for it.
giving it to them, so they were.
Am I using venerated correctly?
Yeah.
I don't know.
This thing is very tight on my head.
He was giving them Quaaludes,
like,
but it was just like, take this or you're not a part of the party, basically. So they were taking it of their own
When did this all change? I feel like
when he got too old.
Is this the 90s? No, when everybody was like, hey, collectively everybody came together and like, we're not gonna diddle kids anymore, right? And we're gonna stop singing about it.
But all the songs, they're all hits. What do we do? Keep playing.
But there was always that young thing that didn't make sense. Like, he invented voyeurism. Not invented it, but he was the first person to monetize voyeurism, where he's like, you can watch it from here, from this page, or at least one of the first. There was obviously porn before him and stuff, but it's just, he was really the first one to become a mogul of it. But at the time, if you look at movies like Animal House, one of the last words in it is, I'm 13. Even in Porky's, they're in high school.
Oh wow,
all
that's
the
so
sex
true.
movies. Yeah, when you break this all down, going after the young girls. If you look at Joan Jett and the Runaways, these are 13 to 15-year-old girls.
Yeah. Old School, Mitch bangs a high school chick. You're right. So that was happening. Even Old School came out when 2010.
Yes.
Fast Times. It's all about young children, basic, like high school age, but they're like freshmen in high school, and they're naked and they're having sex and all this stuff. It just feels weird now going back and watching it. And I'm like,
there's a senior freshman thing that went on in that, but that was very much real life, in that, and she gets driven to an abortion. So I think there was always this like go after the young tail mentality that
I get older, they stay the same age. All right.
I mean, that was just what it seemed to be in the 70s and 80s. I didn't see as much of it in the 90s, but movies, like you said, into Old School were still kind of playing that game. So I think, I remember, this is 2012. I was talking to a producer in Hollywood, and he was telling me how old and haggard Eva Menendez had gotten. Eva Menendez. And I was sitting there looking... Eva Mendes, sorry, not Menendez.
From Hitch? From a Hitch?
Dude, yes.
Yeah.
The
gorgeous.
Dude, and I'm looking at him like, are you seriously saying this right now? This is 2012. What was she, 30? But I very much remember that conversation of like, it made me realize how disgustingly shallow Hollywood was. Not that a ton of things hadn't, but I was listening to a pretty known producer talk about that, and I'm like, are we talking about the same woman here? Mm-hmm. Like, from the other, like, who I don't even think had done the other guys yet.
Wow.
Like, just this smoke show, but she wasn't good enough by Hollywood standards. So they kept aging down. And I think, look at Caddyshack. There's stuff in that. There's stuff in every movie that I think goes a little bit too far. There's rape in Revenge of the Nerds. I mean, it was just sort of acceptable.